Hi, today we're going to be taking a look at Limited Collector's Edition Presents from DC Comics and its Secret Origins Supervillains. And this format of the tabloid-sized comic was really popular in the 1970s. DC Comics started this in 1972 and ended around 1978 or so. Marvel followed suit in 1974 with their Treasury editions, and people usually call all of this format Treasury. But that's what Marvel branded it, and they ended around 1981 or so. These format styles, I don't really care who they're coming from, Marvel, DC, whoever, they're always amazing. I feel like DC Comics put more effort into these, though. Marvel did a lot of reprints, and it's great to see all of that art in oversized formats like that. But DC Comics did reprints, but they also did a lot of original stuff too. Here, this is a bunch of reprints, but framed as villains telling their stories to the readers. It's really great. And here you have like the good guys and bad guys, and this sort of thing was popularized with cartoons with good guys facing off against bad guys rushing towards each other. There's Wonder Woman and Cheetah. I feel like Cheetah got her big break in the cartoon. She was around in comics, but I feel like she became really popular in Super Friends, especially Challenge of the Super Friends. That's what it was called. Um, Green Lantern and Sinestro. Captain Marvel, but they're calling him Shazam. DC Comics acquired the rights to this character and all of the ancillary characters around the Shazam, Captain Marvel. As Dr. Sivana, Flash, Captain Cold, Batman, great looking Batman there, facing off against Joker, and Superman against Lex Luthor in the classic purple and green with the cross suspenders there and the high collars. I love it. Um, these things were great gift items too, and they were like highly priced for the time. Comics were around maybe 25 to 50 cents or so around this time. Um, and for a kid, like these big tabloid sized things were a special treat. Just to give you an example of the size, so this is a regular size comic. This is Superman 164. I'll get to this sometime. So you could see the size comparison here. And here is a digest. It's even tinier. And if you flip to the back, they always had these, well, they usually had these activities for kids to try. This is a 3D diorama. So what you were intended to do is cut this out, then cut out this white area. So it's just into the frame with these characters on it. Cut this out with the tabs intact, and then cut these slots and put this behind and put these slots in here so it would sort of fold around the back and it would form a 3D diorama of like these guys squaring off and these guys in the front. Who in hell did this? Cut out cut up your comic. I mean, if you do that, then you cut up all this stuff, which is like more information about heroes and villains. And why would you do that? I rarely see like these style comics with this stuff cut out. I don't think any kid did that. Maybe some kids did if you're like super bored. But I even in the reckless age of like maybe 6 or 7 when I would treat my comics fairly poorly, I probably would never cut them out like that. And these were nicely packaged with a nice table of contents here. You got the Joker introduces his own origin story. So these are reprints. So you're going to get the Red Hood story, the original. Lex Luthor introduces how he met Superboy. It is what you remember. It's the losing his hair as a result of Superboy blowing smoke back into his laboratory. Captain Cold, the coldest man on Earth. This isn't much of an origin story. It's basically the first story with Captain Cold. Dr. Sivana, he has a messed up origin. Terra Man, will get to him. I feel like they were shoving him down everyone's throat for some reason in the 70s and early 80s as a Superman villain. He was never that formidable a Superman villain, and now he's almost forgotten. And a whole bunch of other stuff. There's a pin-up, of course. There's the heroes and their arch enemies, like more information at the very end, and the 3D diorama. And here, of course, a classic looking Joker, telling you about, like, I like these pages where they're addressing the reader. He's telling you, hey, like, this is my origin, like you want to know how I look like this, read on. And I love this art blown up big like this. This is terrific. Of course, it's credited to Bob Kane, but who knows if you know that story. And I always loved the blue and gray, of course, Batman. But I always love that there's a perpetual shadow over his face. And sometimes some artists interpret that as on the mask there's black around there, but it's always drawn as though there's just a shadow there for some reason. And they're solving this case, trying to find and capture the Red Hood, who's stealing around the place. And like, there's a lot of detective work, so Batman is the Dark Knight detective in this. It's great. And he figures out that this Red Hood mask is basically metal that you can see through. And let me get to where he's almost captured him. He has this Red Hood, but it's not the Red Hood. It's an impersonator. The real Red Hood escapes through chemicals, like a vat of chemicals. When he comes out, he looks like this. And he's like, screw this, I'd rather be this thing. And he calls himself the Joker. And that's the origin of the Joker. There's never really like an origin name or anything. I know that the movie that came out that made $1 billion literally named him and stuff. It's never really been defined. And Joker himself in the comics, and they captured this in that movie, The Dark Knight. He's not a reliable storyteller. I mean, anything he says can be true or false. It's probably false. And here's classic-looking Lex Luthor telling everyone that, I used to be Superman's friend, but now I'm his enemy. Read on to find out why. This is wonderful. I love comics that had a whole bunch of different stories and different things to look at and do, in different formats of stories. And something like this I would have ate up as a kid. This style of tabloid-sized comics came and went just before my time. And I discovered them, when I was maybe 9 or 10 or so. And I was like, wow, what are these? These are awesome. And now I'm trying to track down all of them. So it's the classic, like, how Superboy, this is a Superboy story. And this is a complete issue here, I feel. Because it's a fairly long story about, like, their friends. This is Lex Luthor. And he's trying to create life. Something goes wrong in his... he's trying to use kryptonite for it. Something goes wrong in his lab. And Superboy tries to help. I saw this origin on, I think it was the Filmation Superman cartoon with Superboy. And I remember that as a little kid watching this, exactly this origin. But instead of him using 2 reasons to hate Superboy, here he's saying, you ruined my experiment, but also my hair's gone. In the cartoon, it's just, my hair's gone, I hate you now. Later on, Superboy's like, Lex Luthor is walking around town, like Smallville, bald and stuff, and he's pretending to team up with Superboy to get revenge on him, and he's trying to get, like, more kryptonite and stuff, and he makes a sort of a giant shield that will, like, warm all the farmlands of Smallville, but it sets things on fire. Superboy then rectifies that, but of course ruins another one of Lex Luthor's plans, and so Lex Luthor tries to dredge up more kryptonite to make an antidote, and then poisons Superboy, teases him with the antidote. Superboy then uses super suction or something like that, and and breathes in the last the antidote, but it's the last on Earth. And Lex Luthor's like, um, we're gonna part ways here. I'm gonna be more famous than you and stuff like that, and destroy you. And then Superboy flies off on his way. The end. Um, yeah, it's pretty much the classic. I always thought that that was sort of a stereotype, but like I think people, even average laymen, know that Superboy made Lex Luthor bald, and then and then that's why he hates him. And that's not quite, uh, the origin, but I think that's what most people know. Of course, all that stuff was totally ripped away with the Crisis storyline. Here's Captain Cold, and this is the first Captain Cold story. This is fairly epic. This whole thing, with Flash trying to fight Captain Cold. Flash has a fairly large rogues gallery, and we'll get to that. Actually, we'll get to that right now. So here is the big pinup. This is awesome. This is a bunch of villains for DC Comics as they were in the 1970s. Let's go through all of them. Let's see if I can name them all here. So let's start from the left. So that's Mr. Atom. That's King Kull, not to be confused with the Robert E. Howard character. That's Miss Minerva, and that's Dr. Sivana. So these four here are Captain Marvel villains. You would know Captain Marvel more as Shazam. They're all from the old comics, and before they were bought into DC Comics. Captain Marvel was a huge thing in the 1940s, and as a result, they told a lot of stories. And as a result of that, he had a large rogues gallery that is largely forgotten today. Some of these characters turn up in newer DC Comics, but really they could do a lot with these characters. Anyway, so yeah, so I said Mr. Atom, King Kull, Miss Minerva, Dr. Sivana, Terra Man, we'll get to him. Blockbuster, people always want Triple H to play Blockbuster in something. Poison Ivy, Scarecrow, Captain Cold, Mr. Element, Trickster, Weather Wizard, Professor Zoom, Captain Boomerang, Pied Piper, Catwoman, of course, Gorilla Grodd. I said Professor Zoom, right? Abracadabra, Mirror Master, The Top, Heat Wave, Eyeback, another great like a Captain Marvel character, Joker, Black Adam. He looks like Sinestro here. That's of course Penguin, Riddler, Ra's al Ghul, Talia al Ghul, Lex Luthor, Mixie's Pitlick, and Toyman. I think that's everyone here. A lot of these characters. Let's see if I could match them up with their heroes. So these are all Captain Marvel, including Eyeback. Blockbuster is a Batman guy, and so are all of these guys here. And Black Adam, of course, is Captain Marvel. These are all Superman villains, Batman villain. Like Batman villain. I said Blockbuster, right? Superman villain, Terra Man. All of these guys, from Captain Cold to Heatwave, Gorilla Grodd, Pied Piper, Captain Boomerang. These are all Flash villains. These guys here. I haven't really been keeping up with the Flash TV show, but I don't know if all these guys, like, have they done Mr. Element? Like, I don't know if all these guys are Abracadabra, if these guys were in that show. But he has an impressive rogues gallery, and so does Captain Marvel Shazam. Like, they could totally do something with Eyeback for a movie, but hey, they've probably forgotten to, like all the people at Warner Brothers. So here's a whole key for that. And here's more adventures trying to stop Captain Cold. This is probably one of the best stories in this. So yeah, they're trying to outwit each other. And in the end, Flash spins them and, and then he's trying to warm up here. Here's Dr. Sivana. He has a very tragic story. Let me see. So all this is reprints from an old Captain Marvel story from probably the 40s or 50s, probably the 40s. But what happened mostly is he was a scientist that was discredited on Earth, and then he flew to Venus to escape with his family, only to be in a sort of like jungle hell on Venus, and and years of hard life there hardened him and made him the evil mad scientist that he is. That's nuts. I don't think that they would ever like. That's totally not the origin from the movie that they'd made. Here is Terra Man. Terra Man, as I said before, was shoved down our throats as a Superman villain. At the time, I was like, he kind of sucks. Now I sort of miss him. I feel sorry for the character, even though he's not a real character. I feel sorry for the character for what they've done to him in recent comics. But Terra Man was a dude that basically he's from the Wild West, and him and his dad robbed stagecoaches and stuff. And then an alien came and was startled by the father and killed him. And took pity on the kid and raised him as his own. Outfitted him with a device where he could breathe in space, and hardened him for space. And due to all, see, that's the little device, and due to light speed travel and everything, he doesn't really age while the world moves on, and so he's still stuck in his Wild West ways. Now with a flying Pegasus from space, and basically he calls himself Terra Man because he's proud of being an Earthling, and so he just calls himself Terra Man. He robs stuff as well. He finds out that the alien that raised him killed his real father because his father left a clue, and so he kills the alien, and then flies off and does his own thing. He goes to Earth and he fights Superman for whatever reason. I never thought he was much of a Superman villain, but they had him in almost every comic. And when they made like specials and stuff to tie into the Christopher Reeve movies, they would have Lex Luthor and Terra Man for whatever reason. And now Terra Man is a completely forgotten character for most people, even Superman fans. Here is superheroes and their arch enemies. So this is just highlighting other characters that they didn't get to here. So Wonder Woman and Cheetah, Green Lantern and Sinestro, Hawkman and Shadow Thief, sure. Adam and Kronos, I guess. And there you have it. This was a wonderful, large format tabloid-sized comic. And there are plenty more where this came from. So I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks.